He is a musician who doesn't need to blow his own trumpet. James Morrison's credentials speak for themselves. Adept at multiple instruments, he performed professionally at the age of 13 and went on to the world stage in his teens. We'll meet the jazz whiz to learn about his brand of music.
And also coming up on the show today, give a 7-year-old a musical instrument and he's made a musician. Well, not everyone goes down that path, but jazz maestro James Morrison did, and he formed his first band at age 9 and went on to gain international recognition for his music over the next 40 years. We meet the musician and learn more about his love for music.
Thanks for your company this Tuesday morning. We're into the final half hour of Primetime Morning, but still to come on the program.
Well, give a 7-year-old a musical instrument and voila, he becomes a musician. Well, not everyone goes down that path, but jazz maestro James Morrison did. And he formed his first band at age 9 and went on to gain international recognition for his music over the next 40 years. We meet this musician and learn more about his love for music. Welcome back. Okay, let me try this again. James Morrison has mesmerized thousands with the vibrant sounds of jazz. Now, in fact, the Australian plays several instruments, the clarinet, the saxophone, the flugelhorn, and piano, just to name a few, but he is best known for, of course, his skills on the trumpet.
And he can blow his horn, because that is quite a few instruments. Well, Morrison has played alongside jazz legends like George Benson, Ray Charles and B.B. King. He was in Singapore recently to perform, and we got him to tell us about his musical journey, which began when he received his first musical instrument at the age of 7.
And I was just fascinated the first time I saw the band. I came from the country in Australia, the outback. There were no instruments. We moved to the city when I was just turning 7, and I saw a brass band and I said, I have to have one of those.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, music seems to clearly run in the family. Your brother, your sister, your mother were all into music.
Yes.
But why was it jazz and, you know, not something else?
It's really hard to define what it is about jazz, but when you hear it, I heard it for the first time when I was only 7, and it just gets you. You know, it's just a feeling about jazz. And when I felt that feeling, I said, I have to make that music too. It was like when I first saw the instruments. I never looked back.
How would you describe that feeling? I mean, jazz music is about feel good, you know, tapping your toes.
Well, they refer to it as swing. You know, it has this groove to it that we call swing. And I didn't find that in any other music, and so it had to be jazz.
But, you know, when you look at your music journey, you gained recognition at quite a young age. You were playing professionally, I believe, at the age of 13 at clubs. And then you already performed at the famous Monterey Jazz Festival at, I think, 16? 17?
Yeah.
Do you still remember your first public performance? How did it go?
It didn't go well. I was 8 years old and my first solo. And I was playing the trombone, you know, with the slide, and the slide fell off the end while I was playing into the audience. So half my instrument is in the crowd, and I had half an instrument. And I had to try and finish the piece with only half a trombone, which I did. Mustn't have been very good. But so it was a disaster. But, you know, of course, everyone, an 8-year-old, everyone was very enthusiastic and said it was great. And I just thought being on stage was such a wonderful thing because everyone was so happy.
Right.
And there was so much joy with the music. And so I just decided I wanted to spend my life on the stage.
Well, it was a rocky start, like you said. But, you know, today you're a truly world-class musician. I mean, to reach this stage, and what does it take? How would you, you know, I know you love to nurture young talent. What do you tell them?
I tell them a couple of things. One is they just have to do it a lot. And I don't just mean practice, I mean perform, play. You just have to live the music and really get it into your soul. And so the more you do it, the better you get. And the other thing I tell them also is to take every opportunity. It's no good sitting there saying, well, I don't like this music or that. Or if someone says, do you want to play this? Yes. I used to answer the phone when I was 10 years old saying, I'll do it. You know, And it didn't matter whether it was a local theatre company that needed some music or a jazz band or a rock band or anything, I would just play. And the more musical experiences you have, the more chance you have of finding your place and your voice. And also it makes you more rounded as a musician. So just play as much as you can and be in everything.
Well, I would like to take this moment to hear you play, if you don't mind, since you've got your instrument with you. Would that be possible?
I do have one of my instruments with me, yes. Yes. There's nothing like a little bit of trumpet.
Yeah. Awesome. You know, it's not only fun listening to you, but also watching you as you blow your own trumpet. I mean, you go all red, but then you look so happy.
Sure, absolutely.
And I guess that's the point, right?
Yes. Yes.
But you know, you're really busy. I mean, besides playing, like I mentioned, you're really into nurturing young talent. You've got this James Morrison Jazz Scholarship, I believe, for the last 2 decades.
Yes.
And you are currently the artistic director of the Charles Brass Festival, but yet you take time out to hold masterclasses and workshops for the young ones. Why are you, why do you feel so strongly about this?
There are 2 reasons. One is that I think it's really important to pass on. This is a tradition that is passed on like this from one person to another. You can't learn about jazz out of a book. You know, you have to have contact with other musicians, and it was passed on to me by older musicians, the generation before me, and I need to do that to the next generation for the music to survive and flourish. The other reason is a more sort of personal one. It's just great fun. It's inspiring. You know, to be there at that moment when a young person gets it and their eyes light up and they're inspired, to be there with them and to be part of that is inspiring for me too.
Is there a up-and-coming young musician in jazz that you're looking out for?
Oh, there are many all around the world. There's a young pianist in Sydney named Harry Sutherland who is great. But everywhere I go I come across musicians. Here in Singapore, playing for the Brass Explosion.
Right.
I thought, okay, I'm going to meet lots of brass players. I'm going to meet, you know, people I know from all around the world. But I've played with some wonderful local musicians while I've been here and discovered new friends. Some of them older musicians, but some of them young ones that you just know everyone is going to hear about. And it's fantastic to, you know, that's one of the great things about an event, like having a thing like Brass Explosion, not just a chance for me to play, but a chance for musicians to come together and discover each other.
I guess when you have young blood or young talent around you, it also sort of feeds you, right? I mean, you get inspiration and new energy out of it.
And musicians inspire each other, you know, and that's one of the great things, I guess, about travelling around and having new experiences musically. You get new inspirations.
But besides playing, I mean, I was also told that you, as a musician, you unwind in very unconventional ways. What does that mean?
I have a few different hobbies. I mean, I fly planes. I fly myself around in Australia, and that's nice. I like boating and do a lot of sailing, but also I like motor racing, and have done quite a lot of that myself, and done some international rallying. And I'm a bit of a fan of cars, and have had a car collection. Someone counted up recently. I think I'm up to 103 cars I've had now. Yes, and large numbers of them at any one time. So I don't get enough time for the travelling, but it's great fun.
You hosted your own a car show, in fact, right?
Yes, I was a host of Top Gear Australia, which is a lot of fun too.
So tell me, when you're driving, do you listen to jazz music? Is that
No. When you're driving, you listen to the engine. That's the only. When you're driving a Lamborghini, the only music you need is the engine.
That's right. You talk like a true car enthusiast.
Absolutely.
You've had amazing highlights throughout your career. You've written for the Sydney opening fanfare as well. You know, quite some time ago, and you're now the artistic director of a few festivals. I mean, what would you say is the greatest highlight of your journey so far?
It's really hard to pin down to one thing. I mean, playing and writing the opening for the Sydney Olympics, sure, that's 1 billion people watching or something. Not many jazz clubs that big. But then there's when you meet your heroes for the first time, you know, when I was 16 and met Dizzy Gillespie. But that first solo when I was 8 years old, can anything ever top that? When you stand there for the first time, and to all the young people watching this, when you stand there for your first time and hear your own sound as a solo in front of an audience, that's very hard to beat.
That was James Morrison, Australia's jazz musician who was here recently to perform at Brass Explosion 2011, and that's Asia's biggest international brass music festival.
You know, he's got a point there. I think with my daughter now, who's about 5.5, I mean, I think if she learns to play an instrument, and when you do perform, there is that certain pride you have in being able to share, you know, especially when you get older. So
yeah, the joy is in sharing. It's no point playing music only for your ears.
Yeah,
right?
no, sharing it. And when people can enjoy it as well, I think you feel that too.
Yeah.